Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. I am Jafir Mia Tasin, a student of the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Shahjalal University of Science and Technology. Today, I'm excited to present an important topic: basic indicators of development. Development is not just about economic growth. It's about improving the overall well-being of people. A truly developed society ensures that its citizens have stable income, access to healthcare, and quality education. These three factors, real income, health, and education, are essential indicators of development as they directly affect people's quality of life. Throughout this presentation, I will discuss these indicators in details and then introduce an important global measure, the Human Development Index, also known as HDI. I will explain its definition, its origin, and how it is calculated, and why it is essential in comparing development across countries. Understanding these indicators helps us see development beyond just financial figure. It shows how people actually live and thrive. So let's dive in. Our first topic is income, health, and education indicators. In this section, we examine basic indicators of three facts of development. First, real income. Second, health, and third, education. Now let's talk about the indicators of income. In these indicators, we will talk about gross national income and gross domestic product. First, gross national income, also known as GNI. GNI, or gross national income, is the total final output of goods and services produced by the country's economy within the country's territory by residents and non-residents, regardless of its allocation between domestic and foreign claims. Second, gross domestic product, or GDP. It is the total domestic and foreign output claimed by residents of a country, consisting of gross domestic product (GDP) plus factor incomes earned by foreign residents minus income earned in the domestic economy by non-residents. That was our indicators of income. Now we will talk about indicators of health. In these indicators, we will talk about life expectancy, undernourishment, and high fertility. First, life expectancy. It is the average number of years newborn children would live if subjected to mortality risk prevailing for their cohort at the time of their birth. Second, undernourishment. It means consuming too little food to maintain normal level of activity, often called problem of hunger. And third one, high fertility. Birth rate is another basic indicator which can be both a cause and a consequence of underdevelopment. And that was our indicators of health. Now let's talk about indicators of education. In these indicators, we will talk about literacy. Literacy is the fraction of adult males and females reported or estimated to have basic abilities to read and write. Fractional literacy is generally lower than the reported numbers. And that was our three indicators of development. Right now, we will move to our next chapter or topic, that is Human Development Index, or also known as HDI. First, let's talk about the definition of HDI. What is HDI? HDI, it is an index measuring national socio-economic development based on combining measures of education, health, and adjusted real income per capita. The most widely used measure of comparative status of socio-economic development program, UNDP. That was the definition of HDI. Right now, we will talk about the origin of HDI. In 1990, the United Nations Development Programme (UNDP) transformed the landscape of development theory, measurement, and policy with the publication of its first annual Human Development Report (HDR) and the introduction to the Human Development Index (HDR). 1990s presented the concept of human development as progress towards greater human well-being and provided country-level data for a wide range of well-being indicators. The index, based on the human development approach, developed by Mahbubul Haq, anchored in Amartya Sen's work on human capabilities, often framed in terms of whether people are able to be and do desirable things in life. Examples include being well fed, sheltered, healthy, doing work, education, voting, participating in community life, etc. Now, HDI ranks each country on a scale of 0, lowest human development, to 1, highest human development, based on three goals or dimensions. First, a longer and healthy life. Second, knowledge. And third, a decent standard of living. Let's talk more on HDI. First, a long and healthy life. In this dimension, we will use life expectancy at birth as indicators. Second, knowledge. In this dimension, we will use two indicators. First, average schooling attained by adults. Second, expected years of schooling for school age children. And third, decent standard of living. For this dimension, we will use real per capita gross domestic product adjusted for the differing purchasing power parity of each country's currency. Now let's talk about how to calculate or measure HDI. We need three dimension indexes to measure HDI. These are life expectancy index, education index, and GNI index. Now factors considered for HDI. For dimensions long and healthy life, the indicators we considered, that is life expectancy at birth, and the dimension index is life expectancy index. For dimension knowledge, we considered two indicators. First, expected years of schooling, and second, mean years of schooling. And the dimension index for knowledge is education index. And dimension, a decent standard of life. The indicators is GNI per capita and the dimension index is GNI index. Now let's talk about how to calculate dimension index of HDI. There are two steps in calculation the HDI. First, creating the three-dimension indices and second, aggregating the result indices to produce the overall human development index. After defining the relevant minimum and maximum values, each dimension index calculated as a ratio that basically is given by the percent of the distance above the minimum to the maximum level that a country has attained. Now, dimension index equal actual value minus minimum value divided by maximum value minus minimum value. That was how to calculate dimension index of HDI. Now let's talk about how to calculate life expectancy index LEI. Life expectancy index LEI equal life expectancy minus minimum value divided by maximum value minus minimum value. For example, the health dimension of the new HDI is calculated with a life expectancy at birth index, which takes a minimum value of 20 years and a maximum value of 83.57 years. For example, for the case of Ghana, life expectancy index equals 64.6 minus 20 divided by 83.6 minus 20 equals 0.701, and that was how to calculate life expectancy index or LEI. Now let's talk about how to calculate education index or EI. The education index is the geometric mean of two sub-index, and these two sub-index are mean years of schooling sub-index, expected years of schooling sub-index. The education component of the HDI is calculated with a combination of the average years of schooling for adults aged 25 and older and expected years of schooling for a school age child now entering school. As explained by the UNDP, these indicators are normalized using a minimum value of 0 and maximum values are set to the actual observed maximum values of mean years of schooling from the countries in the time series 1980 to 2012, which is 13.3 years, estimated for the United States in 2010. For Ghana, the average years of schooling among adults is 7 years. So the mean years of schooling sub-index is calculated as 7.0 minus 0 divided by 13.3 minus 0, which is equal to 0.527. On the other hand, we can think of this as saying that Ghana is about 53% of the way to the global standard of average education. In considering expected future education, the highest value is given as 18 years. We may think of as approximately corresponding to a master's degree. For Ghana, the expected number of years of schooling for a child entering school now is estimated at 11.4 years. So the expected years of schooling sub-index is then calculated as 11.4 minus 0 divided by 18.0 minus 0, which is equal to 0.634. So the education index is then calculated as a version of the geometric mean of these two sub-indexes. So the education index EI equals 0.527 plus 0.634 divided by 2, which is equal to 0.5805. Our next topic is calculating GNI index. The standard of living component is calculated using purchasing power adjusted per capita gross national income. For Ghana, the national index is 0.417. Now, our next concept or topic is calculating HDI. The use of geometric mean is computing the HDI is very important. When using an arithmetic mean in the HDI, the effect is to assume perfect sustainability across income, health, and education. For example, a higher value of the education index could compensate one for one for a lower value of the health index. In contrast, use of a geometric mean ensures that poor performance in any dimension directly affects the overall index. Thus, in the HDI, instead of adding up the health, education, and income index and dividing by 3, the new HDI is calculated with the geometric mean. So HDI equal h to the power 1 by 3 multiply e to the power 1 by 3 multiply I to the power 1 by 3, where h stands for the health index, e stands for the education index, and I stand for the income index. That was how we calculate HDI. Our final and last topic is important of HDI. The HDI gives an overall index of economic development to highlight disparities within countries, and it helps countries set target for improvement. It gives idea regarding areas of development which requires improvement. Statistics gives better decision making for areas having wide disparity. More focus on social and human development rather than only capital accumulation and growth.